The Washington National Cathedral, or the National Cathedral, is an American cathedral of the Episcopalian Church. The cathedral is in the northwest section of Washington, D.C., and is a neo-Gothic structure modeled on English Gothic style of the late 14th century. It is the second largest church building in the United States. Its central tower is 301 feet tall and is at an elevation of 676 feet above sea level, making it the highest point in Washington, D.C. It is a very popular tourist attraction visited by over 270,000 people annually. The National Cathedral is a place to find peace and inspiration, and to experience music, extraordinary art, and architecture. Construction of the cathedral began in 1907 and took an amazing 83 years to complete. A detailed pictorial timeline of the cathedral's construction can be found in a YouTube video produced by the cathedral using fascinating photos from their archives. A link to this video is provided in the description below. There were several architects involved in the early design of the cathedral, but the American architect Philip Herbert Frohman took over design of the cathedral in 1921 and is considered the principal architect. In a classic Gothic style, the cathedral has gargoyles and grotesques. The gargoyles, of which the cathedral has 112, are decorative waterspouts projecting from the roof gutters and carrying rainwater away from the building's walls and thus protecting them from damage. Perhaps the most famous gargoyle at the cathedral is that of Darth Vader. The 1,200 grotesques that adorn the church are decorative carvings that have no functional architectural purpose. Many important theological figures, as well as famous people, are represented in the cathedral's grotesques. In the main tower, there are 2 sets of bells, 10 peal bells, and 53 carillon. And of course, one of the most stunning features of the cathedral is its 231 stained glass windows. Although the cathedral is considered having hosted a number of state funerals and memorial services, its funding, past and present, comes entirely from private sources. This financial need presents the cathedral with challenges of not only maintenance, but there are many other financial needs. 2 restoration projects are highlighted in this video: repairing the damage after the 2011 earthquake and the renovation of the 86-year-old pipe organ. The cathedral was damaged in August of 2011 during what is termed the Virginia earthquake. Significant damage was done to the stonework of the cathedral. It was a costly event, and repairs are still ongoing. If you visit the cathedral, you are likely to see the repair work in progress. The Washington National Cathedral's organ is undergoing a $14 million renovation project that began in the winter of 2024 and is expected to be completed in 2029. The restoration work has caused considerable disruption in parts of the cathedral. An electronic organ in the nave provides music during the restoration. The cathedral's pipe organ was originally installed in 1938 when the building was only about one-third complete. The organ's capabilities were enhanced over several decades starting in the 1970s. Currently, the organ has 10,647 pipes or voices. The patching together of different parts and different operating systems over the decades has led to mechanical systems piled on top of each other. After 85 years of nearly daily use, the key components of the organ started to break down beyond the point where they could be repaired, hence the need for restoration. In addition to restoring the mechanical systems, each of the 10,000 plus pipes, some square and some round, will be retuned. An excellent description of the workings of the organ and its restorations is provided in the National Cathedral's YouTube video. A link to that video is in the description below. The Washington Cathedral offers a number of tours. The self-guided tour of the cathedral suggests several places to visit on the 2 floors that are open to the public. I share my experience of the self-guided tour and visited many of the places suggested in the cathedral's brochure. In addition, I visited the Pilgrim's Observatory Gallery, which offers some of the best views of the city of Washington and the surrounding areas. Immediately to your left when you enter the nave, which is the main hall of the cathedral, is a bay that contains a bronze statue of Abraham Lincoln. The statue was created by artist Walker Hancock. The bay reflects the life of the nation's 16th president. There are 34 Lincoln pennies embedded in the floor, one for each state when Lincoln was elected in 1860. The stone carving over the wooden doors is a relief with hands grasping an olive branch and featuring a quote from Lincoln's second inaugural address, "With malice toward none." The stained glass window artist Roland Lecomte designed a magnificent window containing more than 10,000 pieces of glass. The moment of creation in Genesis is the theme of this piece of art. This is a window high above the main entrance. The window appears to change color throughout the day based on how the sun hits it. There are special tours in the cathedral that will allow people to get up close to the window and read the signatures of the creator and the fabricators of the window. Designed by artist Rodney Winfield, the space window celebrates Americans' exploration of the cosmos. The black dot inside of the large circle is a piece of moon rock brought back by the astronauts of Apollo 11. It was given to the cathedral by NASA. Along the bottom of the window, there is a passage from the book of Job. Is not God in the height of the heavens? President Wilson is the only president buried in Washington, D.C., and his grave is in the National Cathedral. Wilson remained in Washington after leaving office and enjoyed watching the cathedral being built. Atop his tomb is a sword adorned with a thistle, a symbol of his Scottish ancestry. The cathedral's pulpit is made from stone from Canterbury Cathedral. It was carved in England and arrived on the site more than 20 years before it was installed in 1929. Many prominent faith leaders have preached at this pulpit, including authors Billy Graham, Archbishop Desmond Tutu. The Reverend Martin Luther King preached his final Sunday sermon here in 1968, just 4 days before he was assassinated. The intricate carvings depict historic figures who played a role in the translation of the Bible into English. After World War II, the cathedral dedicated a war chapel to commemorate Americans' armed forces. The chapel is rich in symbolism. The dramatic altarpiece evokes bayonets and cannon fire. The stained glass windows depict examples of sacrifice and service to others from the biblical stories and American history. The wall hanging depicts the tree of life, with seals from each state hanging in its branches, surrounded by the seals of military branches. The tree is growing from a military cemetery. Although this chapel is designed for young children, on display is some of the most notable artistry in the cathedral. The wrought iron gate surrounding the chapel is just one example. The great chorus features carved wooden stalls for worship and service participants, including cathedral's choristers. The altar is nearly 460 feet from the entrance door. The high altar sits atop stones from Solomon's quarry outside of Jerusalem. The intricately carved walls behind the altar are called redas. They are carved from French limestone and depict more than 100 individuals that exemplify the Christian faith throughout the centuries. And of course, the figure of Christ remains at the center of the carving, which is made of Texas limestone. As noted before, a multi-year renovation project is underway to repair and update the cathedral's main pipe organ, which resides in this area of the cathedral. Descending the staircase near the high altar takes you to the lower level of the cathedral. This level has several intimate chapels. The artwork in these chapels trace the birth, death, and resurrection of Jesus across different architectural styles, preceding the Gothic style seen on the main level. This chapel is the oldest part of the cathedral, completed in 1912. The cathedral's foundation stone was set there in 1907 under the altar. The windows contain depictions of genealogy and birth of Jesus. In the rear of the chapel, there is a small organ and a piano. This is perhaps the most intimate and symbolic chapel in the cathedral. This small chapel is available for prayer and includes a sculpture by Walker Hancock of a shepherd holding a lamb. Featuring a prominent mural by Jan Henrik de Rosen, this chapel tells the stories of Jesus' embalmment following his crucifixion. The chapel also contains an entrance to the cathedral's columbarium, where many find their final resting place. This chapel features the only mosaic in the cathedral, telling of the resurrection of Jesus and his subsequent appearance to his followers. This is a quiet space and is often used for prayer. The final stop on my self-guided tour was a visit to the Pilgrim Observation Gallery on the 7th floor between the North and the South Towers. It offers a panoramic view of Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland, as well as the gardens and the landscape around the cathedral. You are likely to see construction work on the main tower from this elevated position. The Cathedral Close, which is the name of the 59 acres surrounding the Washington National Cathedral, are explored in a separate video which can be viewed at this link here and appears in the description. It is suggested that during your visit to the cathedral, you set aside some time to explore the beautiful Cathedral Close.